Okay, so I'm so upset because I just recorded a 26-minute segment and it did not go through. It was not recording. So Riverside thing for Spotify is trash. So, anyways, I am going to have to do the best that I can to recite everything that I said. So, we are going to cover episode 10 and episode 11 together for Manifestation Mondays, which is episode 10, and then episode 11, which is for Thoughtful Insights Tuesdays, okay? So I'm going to do the best that I can to cover it all because it was a lot and I loved it. It was a lot of emotion in it. But here we go again. So, welcome back to another episode of the Mosaic Community, United in Diversity. I'm your host, Samantha. As new listeners, I want you to know they also call me Sam with two M's. It stands for Samantha Always Manifesting More, okay? And anyways, today we're going to talk about something we all avoid from time to time, and that is uncomfortable conversations. So the topic and the title of this segment episode is the beginning part of it is going to be Embracing Discomfort, the growth that comes from uncomfortable conversations, okay? So whether it's about race, politics, mental health, or personal boundaries, we often shy away from these discussions because, well, hello, they make us uncomfortable, right? So, what if I told you that these moments of discomfort are where some of the most deepest growths happen? When we lean into the discomfort rather than avoid it, we open ourselves up to new perspectives, healing, and stronger sense of community, right? So segment number one, we're going to cover the psychology of discomfort. So why do we feel uncomfortable in conversations? Well, it's uncomfortable, right? So that's why we feel uncomfortable in these conversations. We don't want to talk about it. So psychologically, it comes down to our brain's need for safety and certainty, okay? When we enter into a conversation that challenges our beliefs or focuses on things that we don't want to share or beliefs that we are forced to confront, okay, it brings us to confront the difficult truths, okay? It forces us to challenge our brain, okay? And when we hold back from these things, it's only because our brain signals that we're stepping into an unknown territory. Hey, survival mode, and that can trigger anxiety, right? And a lot of people, anger, aggression, different things. You can't say it hasn't. We all had it, whether we want to admit it or not, but we may deal with it in different ways, but it's there, okay? So here's on the flip side. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone, okay? The more we push through discomfort and uncomfortable situations is the more resilient we become in a diverse community, okay? Uncomfortable conversations are sometimes necessary to challenge assumptions, break down the barriers, and ultimately strengthen our connection with one another. So, why uncomfortable conversations matter in diverse communities? This is why. In communities as rich and varied as ours, there's bound to be conflict, okay, and misunderstandings. I like to say misunderstandings, but if it's understandings, because nobody understands it. When we're misunderstanding each other, we're missing each other, okay? So misunderstandings or even unspoken tensions, whether it's talking about racial justice, gender equality, or personal boundaries, these are conversations that need to be had, okay, for the health of the community and individually, okay, and to strengthen your relationships. So uncomfortable conversations create space for honesty, vulnerability. When we approach them with an open heart and a willingness to learn, we start to see things from a different perspective we would have never considered, okay, before. So that's the real beauty of diversity. Every conversation has a potential to expand our worldview. So for segment number three, we're going to discuss stories of growth discomfort. So as I was sitting down thinking about this episode, I could say I added it in here earlier yesterday. So it was a little how do you say, a little story that I came up with for an example, okay? So I'm going to name the person in this little short story David, okay? So let me tell you a story about a young man named David, okay, who had always avoided talking about race. He felt it wasn't his place, and frankly, he didn't want to get involved in such a sensitive topic. But one day in a community discussion, he was confronted with the situation that forced him to listen and engage. It was uncomfortable. His face turned red. His ears were about to bust. He was stuttering over his words. He didn't know what to say, and he didn't want to say the wrong thing. He worried about saying the wrong thing. But through that conversation, he learned more about his own biases and gained a deeper understanding of what his friends of color had been experiencing, their experiences in the world society norms. Okay? So walking away, David left with he left that conversation changed. Not because it was easy, but because it was hard for him, because it pushed him out of the comfort zone where he could just shut up, nobody knew about it, and go on about your business. No, it was not easy, but because it was hard, he learned that a different perspective was needed, that he didn't know that his friends and his peers were going through these situations. So he leaned into the discomfort and grew because of it. And that's what we're all capable of, okay? Now for segment 4, okay, how to approach uncomfortable conversations. Now we're going to go through with steps of 1 through 5 of things that I sat down and I thought of and I organized and put them into a list. I made it simple for you guys, okay? But these things are tips on how to approach uncomfortable conversations 1 through 5. Now let's talk about that, okay? These conversations come up and you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You don't know. Well, let's start off with number 1. Start with an open mind. Go into the conversation with the intention to learn, not to defend, not to offend, not to be offended, not to hurt anybody. Understand? You understand? Number 2, be willing to be vulnerable. It's okay to admit when you don't have all the answers or when you're uncomfortable. Vulnerability builds trust, or when you've never thought of it. So if you listen to these conversations, and you can learn, your perspective opens and your world widens, right? Okay, number 3, listen actively. Just like we discussed in our last episodes of the art of listening. Okay, listening is key. Don't interrupt. Let the other person share their truth, share their thoughts, have the floor. Let's not be rude, disrespectful, or ugly about situations. They have their time to talk. They're going to say what they have to say. That's their side. And when it's your turn, nobody can interrupt you. And you're also teaching them the art of listening as well, and what what to do. It strengthens you individually and social wise. Okay, so number 4, stay calm. It's easy to get defensive and offended, okay, or upset or angered even, but when we're challenged with that feeling, with that, the frustration sometimes. But growth happens when we stay calm and open to what's being said and actually listen and dissect it. Don't they say 3 words, you don't like it, so you're already looking for something to defend yourself or to offend them, to make them feel some type of way, to shut them down, right? We're not going to do that. That's ugly. That's no. That's how things never get resolved, and nobody's actually listening and perspectives aren't being widened. Okay? So number 5 is reflect afterwards. After the conversation, take some time to reflect on what was said and how it made you feel, what you learned from it, a takeaway, even if you have to write it down. How do you say? Get a notebook just for these type of conversations. And go back, reflect, and then you'll see the growth and you'll see the things that you've had a correct or see a different way, okay? These conversations might feel tough in the moment or at the beginning, okay? But they are critical to building a strong, inclusive, and understanding community, okay? So, for the final conclusion of this part for Manifestation Monday, and at the end of episode 11, we're not going to cut the video, we're going to go on to the next, and I'm going to share some exercises for Manifestation Monday, so stay tuned. Okay, so as we wrap it up today on that episode, I want you to leave with a challenge. So seek out an uncomfortable conversation this week. It might be tough, but remember, these moments are where real challenges begin. Okay? Whether it's with a family member, a friend, your partner, or even a colleague, embrace the discomfort and see what growth unfolds. Okay? Thank you for listening to episode 10, Manifestation Mondays. Okay, I'm sorry I was late for today with that one, but we're here. We're going to do it because this message had to get out there. So if this message resonated with you, share with someone who could benefit from the power of tough conversations. And always stay united in your journey because growth happens together. Remember, we are the Mosaic. Now for episode 11, okay, which is touching. It's 1:34 a.m. When I started recording this, it was 11, but hey, we're now at 1:34. We are on Thoughtful Insight Tuesdays, okay? So episode 11, Breaking the Cycle is the title. So the title and topic is Breaking the Cycle, Overcoming Generational Patterns for Personal Growth. So a lot of us may know it as generational curses. Okay, let's dive into the deep influence of our personal and collective journeys, okay, of breaking the cycle of generational curses / patterns, okay? So whether it's from family dynamics, limited beliefs, or societal norms passed down from generation to generation, many of us unknowingly inherit patterns that shape who we are. But here's the empowering part. Just because we inherit these patterns don't mean we have to continue them. Today, we're going to explore how recognizing and breaking these cycles can lead to profound personal growth and help us create new, more empowered narratives, not just for us, but for the generations to come or the generations already here. And we can change the narrative and their ways of thinking and the things that they inherit and the patterns that we didn't find helpful for us. We can change the narrative for them and they could teach their generation and their kids' generation, so on and so forth. So you've broken your barriers. So for segment 1, we're going to talk about understanding generational patterns, okay? Let's start by understanding, I'm so sorry about that. Let's start by understanding what generational patterns are. These are behaviors, beliefs, and emotional patterns that are passed down through families. They can manifest in various forms, okay? Everybody has heard of generational curses. Like things from poverty mindsets, trauma responses, unhealthy relationships, and the dynamics of them, or even the way we handle stress, okay? It's important to recognize that these patterns often come from a place of survival. Our ancestors' parents, our parents, their parents, and so on and so forth, or our caregivers, that the parental examples that we were shown growing up as children, growing up, because a lot of things that are in our adulthood stem from our childhood, right? So these are things of what helped them survive, okay? And just because it helped them survive in their days, or they found that helpful, may no longer serve us in today's world, okay? So that's where the cycle breaking begins. If it was me, just let me tell you, and I know a lot of people would agree, whether you secretly agree or you agree openly, if I can take all the sacrifices away from my children, if I can take all the sacrifices of hurt, breaking generational curses, going through all these ugly, nasty things, and heal and break these generational curses and build it a foundation to where they can bear the fruits of our labor, I will do it in a second, in a heartbeat. And that is part of what I'm doing, like the Mosaic community, United in Diversity. It's not just for this generation. For me, it's showing my children what needs to be done, what could be done as a whole, and showing them, you know, that everybody coming together, we're better, stronger together. You're a spark, I'm a spark, and we're going to create a whirlwind of fire if we all come together, right? We all can create change together. Different people, nobody has to be the same, nobody has to agree on everything, but showing them how to be different from what I was taught and what I was raised, because I was raised in a dynamic, family dynamic of single mothers, domestic violence, being shown tough love and not receiving the love or feeling love because they're trying to show tough love, or they weren't shown love, so they don't know how to show you love, or creating generational curses of women being shunned down, voices not heard, and all these different things. Okay, so I'm trying to make it different for my children because I would bear the weight on my back, the sacrifices on my back, so I can make sure that I'm actually doing some kind of work here that I felt like I was sitting here to do for my generation. Felt like my generations before, my ancestors and the we're waiting for my generation to come to make these changes. You know, it's not always why they didn't do it. Their job was their job, and you can't go backwards. So all you can do is perform your duties here, what you feel like you're here to do, and move forward, correct? And change the things that you feel need to be changed and build a better foundation and teach these things to your children. They teach it to their children. And then that grows a whole powerhouse once you just set the foundation and let them understand that this is the way it's supposed to be. Even the ways they're talking, the words that come out your mouth, we have to understand. We were always told that the tongue is the most powerful weapon that you have. Why? Because the things that you say, you putting it in the universe, that is what you're manifesting. That's what you're putting out there. So I teach my kids all these things. They even teach them about herbs and connecting with nature, and give unto others as do unto others as you'd want done to you. If you don't want somebody treating you this way, you don't treat anybody this way. You will have an open heart. Yes, if people are being ugly to you or whatever, but you have to not always fighting with and trust me, I was rebellious, I was violent, so I understand, but I also know the trouble that it gets you into, and I also know the things that it puts you into. So that being said, that's a long example, but it's important to recognize that these patterns often come from a place of survival, okay, from our ancestors and their ancestors. So how do these generational patterns affect us, okay? Imagine you grew up in a household where money was always a source of stress and conflict. You may find yourself as an adult subconsciously avoiding financial discussions, okay? Or even feeling guilty about financial success, or have you ever, let me continue on and then I'll give that side note, okay? Or perhaps you were raised in an environment where vulnerability was seen as a weakness, and now you struggle to express your emotions openly. So I know people have felt or heard like somebody receiving something good, like example, my son. I always had the feeling of, oh my God, I'm not good enough. Self-worth wasn't there. Giving myself grace, self-love, self-care. Seeing that I didn't deserve good things because, I didn't think that's just what one thing that was inherently put in me, feeling bad if I got a blessing. Like if somebody gave me something, I would, no, I'm okay, I'm good. And feeling some way about it. Okay, well, let me just give a short little example. My son got for 2 months in a row, and this was just last month and the month before, an award for a student of the month within his fifth grade class. And he felt embarrassed, ashamed. He felt undeserving of getting this award, and why me? And my youngest son felt like, why is he the favorite? Why do they like him more? Or why didn't I get one? But like I had to explain, y'all are two different people. Maybe your growth is going to come in a different way. Maybe your growth shows that you are working in a respectful manner. You show people gratitude, and you try to be an example, and that is wonderful. But both of y'all are in two different life paths. Y'all are on two different journeys. You can't compare yourself to your brother, and you can't uh, ex- expect his blessings, okay? And you, for my oldest son, aren't it's not okay, or you're not supposed to feel, may I say, you're not supposed to feel undeserving, like it wasn't meant for you, like somebody else deserved it. Like, no, embrace that that's what you were. Embrace that you were acknowledged, you were accepted, you were showing they're showing you gratitude, that, oh my God, this is what you did. Accept it. That's who you are. And don't take your blessings and with your head down. I always tell them before they go to school, be positive, be the light. Don't let nobody dim your light. Always hold your head up high and with a smile, be positive. Don't let nobody steal that away from you. And if you receive anything, be grateful and be proud and give yourself love and know that you deserved it. You are deserving of multiple wonderful, grateful, beautiful things in this world that nobody or you couldn't even imagine that you deserve. You deserve it, and it's going to come to fruition. It's yours. It's already yours. You just have to accept that that's what is for you. So that's a quick little example of that. And I mean, man, it is a wonderful journey. As I'm sharing these things with you guys, I'm going through these things actively. Nobody's perfect. If we look for perfection, we're in the wrong world, wrong realm. This is not it. This is a realm of learning and the spiritual, a spiritual being, a spiritual crystalline light being having a human experience. Okay. What we need to learn as a soul, our soul's purpose, and so on. That's another episode. Okay. So, next segment is breaking the cycle. Okay, here's another story that I put together, and I used myself as the example because it's part of my problem, one of the things that I've struggled with. So I want to share that little story, as many I just shared. Okay, but so let's see. There's a woman named Samantha, myself. Samantha grew up in a family where silence was the norm. No one talked about their feelings. No one expressed vulnerability, and it wasn't okay for a woman to say how she felt. She wasn't valued, along with the other women that showed her to just shut up and live. Shut up and survive, and shut up and accept it. And emotional distance became a part of her identity. As an adult, Samantha struggled to connect deeply with others, okay? Especially in her relationships. All of them. Believe me, this is about me. It wasn't until she started therapy, which I didn't start therapy, I started self-journey, okay? Self-healing, I was my therapy. My own healings were my therapy. So after that, she realized that this emotional wall wasn't hers to carry. It wasn't her burden to carry. It was a pattern inherited from her generations before her, her ancestors and the women that she learned from. So through this self-reflection and vulnerability, Samantha began to break down the cycle and work on it and learn from it. She learned to express herself openly and allow spaces for emotional connections, put up boundaries for herself, stand up for herself, love herself, give herself grace, and self-reflect within herself. Okay, and today she has a better emotional connection to things in the world, to situations, and she feels more connected to her partner, her friends, and even herself, her children. And she even thought to herself that these are things that she could never think that was possible for her. So her story reminds us, I'm talking about myself, my story reminds us that breaking the cycle is hard, but it's possible and it's so worth it. It's the healing process, like I said. So here on segment 4, we're going to practice some tips, or I'm going to share these tips that I've, thought about once again and incited and organized, and for you guys that I think will be a little helpful, would help me along the way and would still help me. So how do we start breaking these cycles? Here are a few tips. 1 through 4, okay? And even if you have to get a notebook dedicated just to generational curses, go back, see what your grandmother, see what your grandfather, if you still have that luck to speak to your grandmother, grandfather, your mother, your father. And if not, like me, I'm not fortunate for that, but I can talk to my grandmother, my siblings, things like that. I can learn these things within these stories from my grandmother as I'm actively doing, write it down, figure out and where these things have stemmed from that I have had trouble with within my life. So for number 1, we're going to identify the patterns, pay attention to recurring themes in your life, whether it's a tendency to avoid conflict, a fear of failure, or a belief that says that success is out of your reach. Okay. Challenge limiting beliefs is for number 2. Challenge limiting beliefs. Ask yourself, is this belief really mine, or is it something I've inherited, or is it a learned behavior? Once you identify a limiting belief, challenge it, acknowledge it, and rewrite it, change it, okay? Write it in a notebook, and when next time you catch yourself doing the same thing, stop yourself, acknowledge it, identify the problem, and say it, fix yourself, catch yourself, fix yourself, okay? So you have the power to rewrite your narrative and, keep going from there. It's always a learning process. Number 3, practice self-awareness. Notice when we're falling into old patterns and consciously choose a different response. Like I just said, catch yourself. For example, if your family avoided conflict, if that's what you're used to seeing, try engaging in open, respectful conversations when disagreements arise, and do it in a different way. Remember, let them have the floor, the art of listening. Go listen to that episode, and it will help you to be an individual, a better individual, a better listener individually and socially, and that will help. So number 4 is seek support. Breaking generational patterns isn't easy, and you don't have to do it alone. Whether it's therapy, a supportive group as ours, the Mosaic community, United in Diversity, we're always here for support, and no matter what. Emails in the description, everything's in the description, so you can share your experiences. If you don't want to share them, email and I'll respond. I'm always open to that. And you don't have to just join mine. It could be whatever you choose, whether it's a religious group, a social group, friend group, whatever, as long as it is a support group. Or your trusted friends that you may have, or a family member. Have someone to support your journey, okay? To make it all the difference. You don't have to do this alone. So by breaking these cycles, you're not just healing yourself, you're paving the way for the future generations to live more empowered and authentic lives, okay? You're building the foundation for them to flourish and to bear the fruits of the labor, okay? As we wrap today's episode up, both of them, thank God we got through it. Thank the Most High that we got through the episode 10 and 11, because it's a re-recording because the other one didn't record. So I want to encourage you to reflect on the patterns you've inherited, what cycles are ready to be broken, write it down, think about it, take a mental note, whatever helps you. But remember, you have the power to create new, healthier narratives for yourself and your loved ones and future generations. Pave the way. Thank you for joining me on today's the Mosaic community, United in Diversity. If you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who might benefit from the message. Together we can break the cycle that holds us back and embrace personal growth. Oh, and I almost forgot the experiment. We're not going to forget this because I'm doing this actually. I started it yesterday, but I'm going to do 2 more tomorrow. Or later on today, because it's 1:52 a.m. So if this is for Manifestation Monday, you could also carry it into a Thoughtful Insights Tuesdays. But whatever you want to manifest, whatever you want, put it on a piece of paper, fold it towards you because you want it to come to you. Okay. If you want something to leave you or whatever, you do that. I'm going the opposite way, but this is for manifestation and to bring things towards you. Okay, so we're going to write down your manifestation, the things that you want to happen, the things you want to see, whether it's personal growth, reflection, love, self care, self-love, self-reflection, self-acceptance, no matter what it is. Write it down, fold it towards you. Turn it to the side, fold it towards you, not away from you, because we're trying to call in these things from the universe, correct? And the universe is going to help us. We just got to do our side and do what we have to do. So after you do that, whether you're going to plant a plant from scratch, from seed, or replant a plant in a different vessel, put that note inside the pot, in the middle of the soil and the plant. Put the roots right on top of it. Put more soil on top. And that is actually exercise for grounding, as well as connecting to nature and the universe, and letting it know what you want to come to you. Now, don't dwell on it. Oh my God, this is what is in there. And no, you don't do that. You set it in there, forget about it, care for the plant as necessary. If you have to look up things about the plant's not always going to do perfect, because you might not know much about it and you might be learning, and that's okay. We're learning of ourselves, right? You could also, if you name the plant after yourself, or write down what your name and then all the things that you want, love, acknowledgement, self, gratitude, blessings, transformation, self-healing, self-journey, realizations, anything you want, okay? Put it on there. It's like the first thing I mentioned. Fold it towards you, put it in the pot, and give that plant what you are missing. Don't neglect the plant, because that's what you're trying to manifest out of. You're trying to manifest that you get love and you're giving attention to. But don't look for this in the outside world from people, because that's where you're going to fail. Look for it within yourself. Give yourself that love. So that's why I say name the plant after yourself. I've done it multiple times. Name the plant after yourself. When you're crying, cry with the plant, touch the plant, put your fingers in the soil in the morning when you drink your tea, when you're listening to music, vibrational frequencies, when you're meditating, whatever. But give that attention and that part of you to the plant, and the water, take care of it as necessary. And as this plant grows, don't pay attention, don't dwell on it too much, but you will see the transformation that it does. When I say it opened me to new things, I was like, oh man, crying above the plant. My tears I was letting fall in the soil, because I wanted that connection, and I'm a Taurus, I'm a Taurus, Pisces Taurus. So, I'm already earth element. And my moon is in Pisces, which is emotion, water. I'm very emotional. So I tie them both into each other. You could also write down manifestations, burn them, let it go. Don't think of it after that. Don't write something down and then keep visiting and keep doing the same behavior. Try your best not to revisit that behavior. All right, guys. So we're wrapping it up, and that is it. Thank you for listening to this long segment and episode, and I appreciate you guys so much for your love, support, joining, sharing. And remember, I'm on YouTube. Emails in the description. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm open to I'm open to criticism, thoughts, questions, stories, whatever the case might be. You want to share it, put it in the the comment section, or share it with the community. If not, email me. I'm down to message you and have a communication align with you. That's what I'm trying to do, build that community. So thank you so very much for listening. I appreciated you so much, and I will be back later on today with episode 12, and we'll be talking more about herbalism, dealing with nature and manifesting with that. So keep a close eye on what we have going on. Thank you so very much once again. Manifestation Monday, and meshed in with Thoughtful Insights Tuesdays, and I appreciate it. Once again, I can't say it enough. Y'all are just part of my family and don't even know it. So even though right now I only have 5 listeners, 3 people in the audience, part of my audience, it's okay. It's gonna grow. It's not gonna happen overnight, and I am okay. I'm down for the journey, and each one teaches one. And remember, we are the Mosaic, and together we can build so much more powerful transformations and evolvement. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.